Taliban may have U.S. arms. Insurgents in Afghanistan, fighting from some of the poorest and most remote regions on earth, have managed for years now to maintain an intensive guerrilla war against materially superior American and Afghan forces. Arms and ordnance collected from dead insurgents hint at one possible reason. Of 30 rifle magazines recently taken from insurgents, at least 17 contained cartridges or rounds, bullets, identical to ammunition the United States had provided to Afghan government forces. According to an examination of ammunition markings by the New York Times and interviews with American officers and arms dealers, there's something very wrong with that picture. The presence of this ammunition in the Korengal Valley, an area of often fierce fighting near Afghanistan's border with Pakistan, very strongly suggests that munitions procured by the Pentagon have leaked from Afghan forces for use against American troops. The scope of that diversion remains unknown, and the 30 magazines represented a single sampling of fewer than 1,000 cartridges. But military officials, arms experts, and dealers say it points to a worrisome possibility of only spotty American and Afghan controls on the vast inventory of weapons and ammunition sent into Afghanistan during an 8-year ongoing conflict. Poor discipline and outright corruption among Afghan forces may have helped keep the insurgents supplied with weapons and ammunition. That is bad. The United States has been criticized as recently as February by the Federal Government Accountability Office for failing to account for thousands and thousands of rifles issued to Afghan security forces. Some of these weapons have been documented in insurgents' hands, including weapons in a battle last year in which 9 Americans died. Tracing the rifles and the ammunition. In response, the Combined Security Transition Command Afghanistan, the American-led unit tasked with training and supplying Afghan forces, said it has made accountability of all Afghan police and military property a top priority. Theoretically, and taken steps to locate and log rifles issued even years ago. Of course, there is a worldwide black market of arms that are being sold all around the world also. And, of course, in Afghanistan, most of the people there are pretty poor. Even the security forces and the police. Yes, most likely they are selling American supplied arms and ammunition to the Taliban. That is not a good sign. The Pentagon has created a database of small arms issued to Afghan units. But there is no accountability system for ammunition or bullets, which are much harder to trace and more liquid than firearms, readily changing hands through corruption, illegal sales, theft, battlefield loss, and other forms of diversion. American forces do not always examine all captured arms and munitions to trace how insurgents obtained them, or to determine whether the Afghan government, directly or indirectly, is a significant Taliban supplier, military officers say. The reasons include limited resources and institutional memory of issued arms, as well as an absence of collaboration between field units that collect equipment and the investigators and supervisors in Kabul who could trace it. In this case, the rifle magazines were captured last month by a platoon in Company B, 1st Battalion, 26th Infantry, which killed at least 13 insurgents in a nighttime ambush in eastern Afghanistan. The soldiers searched the insurgents' remains and collected 10 rifles, a rocket-propelled grenade launcher, 30 magazines, and various other equipment. Access to Taliban equipment is unusual, but after the ambush, the company allowed the items to be examined by a reporter. Photographs were taken of the weapons' serial numbers and markings on the bottoms of the cartridge casings, known as head stamps, which can reveal where and when ammunition was manufactured. The head stamps were then compared with ammunition in government circulation and with records of ammunition sampled in Afghan magazines and bunkers in multiple provinces in recent years. The type of ammunition in question, 7.62 times 39 millimeter, known as 7.62 short, is one of the world's most abundant classes of military small arms cartridges, and has been made in many countries, including Russia, China, North Korea, Ukraine, Cuba, India, Pakistan, and the United States, the former Warsaw Pact nations, and a number of countries in Africa. Several countries have multiple factories, each associated with distinct markings. Linked to California, the examination of the Taliban's cartridges found telling signs of diversion. 17 of the magazines contained ammunition bearing either of two stamps, the word Wolf, W-O-L-F in uppercase letters, or the lowercase arrangement BXN. Wolf, or W-O-L-F, stamps mark ammunition from Wolf Performance Ammunition, a company in California that sells Russian-made cartridges to American gun owners. The company has also provided cartridges for Afghan soldiers and police officers, typically through middlemen. Its munitions can be found in Afghanistan government bunkers. So, Afghan units are a likely source. And the American military also says it's not surprising. So, some kind of way, the United States is supplying both sides. The Taliban, the insurgents, militants, whatever have you called them, and the Afghanistan units, or army and police. That way, you can keep the war going a very long time. Yes, there's something very wrong with this whole picture. Again, all these things are more signs of the end times, transition days. The transition is happening every day all around the world.